Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my monologues. It's lovely to connect with you every day. And just those, if you're interested, those that want to come along to see me and many others, the Great Resist at this weekend on Saturday will be at the Exeter Racecourse. We're going to the races. The Liz Phillips Great Resist, where a bunch of truth tellers will be talking. If you haven't booked your tickets, do check it out. The Great Resist, it's on their website. And there's a whole load of talkers there. You can come along. There's lots of parking, apparently. It's an all-day thing from about 11 till 4, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll put the details in the link in the description. So do come along. There's lots of events coming up as well, and I will try to remember to promote them. But today I've been about to start again editing up my book, Biggleswick, the Town That Wouldn't Comply, full of interesting, hopefully, truth bombs. But it's a novel, you see, it's a novel, and within the novel you come across all these problems that people have in this world that we find ourselves in at the moment, and they come up with a solution on how to solve it. And I thought a novel was a great way to experience, I suppose, some of the problems, you know, bailiffs at the door and all sorts of different things that people have, evictions and being put into police custody, and so that people kind of get an idea of what these situations, the problems are, the chemtrailing, the Freemasonry, the whole thing, all within a novel. Novels are great for experiencing things that hopefully that's in some cases we don't actually have to go and experience, but you get an author's perspective on it. Now, I may not be right on many of these things, but it's fiction, and it sort of sows the seeds of ideas. And I'm hoping that my book, when it's ready, and it's a blooming long process doing the grammar and checking and then going, hang on a second, there's an extra little bit of information I want to put in there, or a scene that needs to develop so that we can explore this idea a bit better. It's sort of never ending, but I think by the autumn it will be ready. It will be ready for Christmas. Yes, great. But I think a novel is a great way to sort of explain things. And you may remember I had John Hermer on the channel recently with his 6 Degrees South, or whatever it was called, and he's done the similar thing to try and get the truth messages within a story, so that you can give it to people who perhaps are not normally into that kind of you know, what you might say, people who are not awake, let's say, and as people read the story, they don't have to say, oh, it's true or not true, it's fiction, so it gets it across. Now, one of the things I wanted to add on this is, and I've interviewed yesterday, and it'll come out today, Mark Devlin, who's releasing a book. Everybody's got books. Everybody's releasing books at the moment, which is great. I think it's really important that people get back to reading, and I'll come on to that in a moment. But one of the things I was saying to Mark when talking to him yesterday was, isn't it strange, in the old days you go around people's houses, and there were two things that whilst the host is making you a cup of tea or coffee or whatever, you would, or I certainly used to do, was go around and have a look at the books, have a look at the titles of books. And even in these videos, when I've got these books in the background, I know people say, oh, we're interested to see what books you've got on your shelves. The other thing that people used to have on display was LPs, their music collection, and people would sort of rifle through and go, oh, you've got this one and you've got that one. Oh, yes, I like that one. I remember buying this one in 1979, or this was the first LP or first single I ever bought. But these days, when you go around people's houses, books have vanished. They're not on the shelves. Not very many people seem to have books. And as far as LPs and music collections, you know, some people might still have a few CDs, but most people, it seems, have been bought into the digital world and have everything online, all their stuff, you know, their music and the digital stuff, and the books as well. And of course, this is very dangerous, and this was part of our conversation, is because the digital world can be switched off. It's all, you know, down to having electricity, could be switched off. Your digital ability to access where these books are could be switched off. You know, if you end up with a digital ID and you've said something, the wrong thing, or the facial recognition technology has deemed you as enemy number one, you could be switched off from all these pleasurable accesses to old films, which used to be on VHS, or the other one, which I can't remember now. I was going to say Anthrax, but it wasn't called Anthrax, wasn't it? VHS and Betamax. Sounds like Anthrax, but I wouldn't get the two mixed up if I was you. All those things that sort of showed your personality in your own castle, as it were, in your house, where people could come in and just look at your shelves and go, oh yes, I can see you're interested in English countryside or British history or I don't know, whatever else, villages and the Second World War, the Battle of Britain. I've got a number of books because these were sort of things that I was interested in at certain times. People can come in and go, oh yes, these are the authors you like. H.E. Bates. Oh yes, I remember. I've read some of his, and all sorts of, you know, authors that you might be interested in, and the type of book, the type of novel, all that sort of stuff. But it seems that, no more that is the case, and it's what's more worrying, and you'll hear it in the conversations. We talk about these online book platforms in which the manuscript is online and you perhaps are accessing it on an electronic reader. And of course, if the book is a little bit contentious, or it's a new book that's been published and it's a bit contentious, somebody else can change the text so that when you download that next chapter to read it, it may not be the original one the author intended. Some of the nuances may be changed. And that, to me, is a massive worry. And that's why I think the printed book is essential, and people ought to be keeping a collection of books. We ought to have, like we used to do in the old days, our own personal libraries, because unless they come along, which would in these days be difficult without them showing their face and saying we must take your books and burn them. And I'm not saying that won't happen, but when somebody comes to your house and says, I'm taking your books to burn because we don't want you to have the information, you know you're in a totalitarian state. At the moment, they're pretending we're not in a totalitarian state. They're pretending that we're not in a dictatorship with their rules and regulations. We know that that's actually what we are, or that's what they try to do by keeping us in this jurisdiction. But they pretend that it's, you know, you've got free will, that you've got, you know, it's a free country and all these sort of things. And we're going through the pretense of democracy. But as we've seen with the recent government, who have a manifesto that as soon as they're in power, they throw it away and they start doing very nefarious things. So, but even so, I still think it's absolutely essential that we keep books. Books are the lifeblood of people. When you think within the book, it is the thoughts of an individual or a number of individuals that has been, and I know what it's like from writing my own, has been focused with forensic focus, really, to get it right, to get it as best you can, to do the best, you know, not only the English and the grammar and all of that, but to sort of focus the ideas that you have into the most easily readable. Some authors obviously succeed better than others, but their ideas, their concepts, their thoughts, their philosophy is all in a book, and it's, you know, it's part of their whole ethos, morals, all of that, and it's within two hardboard covers, and that's what books represent. They're amazing things. Not as many people read now as they used to, because again, youngsters have been trained to go online, and they've been used to videos, video content, audio content, where perhaps you're not able to go back so easily and reference stuff and mark the pages and underline things that were important, or so easily copy and this, that and the other. And it's very flighty, isn't it? I mean, you know, think of the amount of videos that I've got, and how many of those have you watched that you actually remember? Because when you come to the end of this video, don't panic, you're going to swipe on to another video, and you'll forget everything that I've said. And maybe everything I've said has not been important. Of course, I'm not arrogant or egotistical enough to think that it is of any importance. And this is just me talking off the cuff. I haven't prepared anything. I just thought this is a subject I'd like to talk about. But when you spend the time and the effort to put those ideas focused in the most readable fashion that you can, that's where a book really, really helps. And I think people should have them, but that's just you may disagree, say I haven't got the space, I don't want to buy them, I don't read them, it's not important to me, why should I, blah, 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 whatever. People have been very kind, and they do send me books, and I think half the time they want me to promote their books on the show. And people do send me, and I appreciate that because I love reading. At the moment, I haven't had a huge amount of chance because I've been working on my own books and writing books and reading my own books and doing all the grammar, etc., etc. So I thought, because I may or may not now, some people have sent me books and they may not be in this little selection I'm just going to hold up. And this just is really to acknowledge people that some of the books that you've sent me have arrived. There are stacks of them all over the place. So this is just a small selection. So this is The Coming Times by, who's this? A Pathway to Inner Peace, The Divine Counsel, Helen Jane Rose. Thank you for sending that. Fascinating insight into that. John Waters, who's been on the show, has got this new book, The Abolition of Reality, about the COVID period, in huge detail. And I need to try and get through that and then have him on the show to talk about that. That would be fantastic. This is from a lady whose name is not on the book for some reason. I can't remember why. Enchanted Earth, The Road to the Enchanted series. That's there's two books here. And, her name is on there. It's just it was in red and hard to see. Gillian England. There we are, Gillian. Thank you for sending those. This is a lovely little book for kids. It's trying to sort of inspire children to understand that they are creative, that they may be star childs, that they have guardian angels. This sort of spiritual awakening book called Little Light Angels, Indigo Star Rainbow, Crystal and Diamond Children. It may be a little woo-woo for some people. So it says here, created to gently guide the new age children into spirituality by Lindsay Patricia Hepburn. There we are. So thank you for that. Guy Anderson will be on the show very soon, talking about the rise of the clones, the Cabbage Patch Babies. You may remember he wrote Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Babies. So he's got his latest book about cloning, and places like, Ancestry.com and searching and what is really going on behind that. That's a fascinating book that's just come out. Another book that was sent to me, Autism Epidemic, the Transhumanism's Dirty Little Secret, by Wayne McRoy, which I, again, have yet to access. Just time, really. Sharper Than the Sword. This is, what does it say here? Summary of 16 powerful messages that have changed the lives of thousands by Andrew Womack. And this is really sort of, I suppose, a Christian's point of view. Sharper Than Two-Edged Sword is a compilation summary of 16 most requested and important revelations God has given him. So he's, he has had these revelations and he's put them into a book. And Hermes Runs the Game is the last of this little selection. Thank you very much, Stephen. Is it Grimmy or Grimy? And this is the inverted myth, sacrifice and initiation in forming of events of the 2020 to 2024. Again, a massive, fascinating book, but using a lot of classical Greek references, mythology, that sort of mirrors where we are at the moment, from what I understand. Hermes runs the game. And you can see, to me, books are amazing. One of the things I love about books is you don't, and this is where people get a bit funny, is that you don't have to read the book from cover to cover. I do, but not on all books. And sometimes I'm sitting here, I may be smoking my pipe, I apologise for not doing that today, and I will just be perhaps a few moments before perhaps one of my interviews, or perhaps I've got to go somewhere or do something, or it's just a moment of repose. And I will glance up at my shelves of books, and there may be a book, and I'll think, oh, I just fancy reading a single paragraph, and I may just, pick up a book. This is a particularly lovely book. It's called The New Silver: Forest and Orchard Trees, and it's an absolute. It's just a beautiful book, and it talks about the trees of England, Britain, all sorts. Quince. Just opening this at random on the quince. I don't know if you can see this terribly well. And sometimes I just pick this up and just a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of something, and read about it. Quince fruit has long been prized. It was known to ancient Hebrews as the golden apple. In Mesopotamia, now Iraq, quinces were important fruit because the climate was too hot and dry for apple cultivation. The tree was esteemed as a garden plant in ancient Greece, being mentioned in Homer's Odyssey. The Greek mythology may well have been the golden apple in the Judgment of Paris. And anyway, it goes on, but it's just a beautiful book. And I love to pull out a book off the shelf, and that is the beauty of having them. Where you've got them put up in digital, enclaves, away from prying eyes, away from your own eyes, away from inspiration. Sometimes just the title can inspire you to, or raise your vibration, or get you happy. Books, we need them. We need more of them. We need to keep them, and we need to protect them. Thank you for watching. I will hopefully see some of you maybe in Exeter at the racecourse at the Great Resist, or any of the other events. Until next time, take care. Bye for now.